Motorsport Radio.
1, 2, 3.
Join the conversation. Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio.
Hello and welcome. This is Motorsport Radio and we are live. My name is Lester. It's the Superbike show here. And, we're going to talk over the next couple of hours about everything that happened in Indonesia at the latest MotoGP, Moto 2 and Moto 3 round. Joining me on the show tonight so far, we are expecting another panellist, but he's not shown up yet, Jay. But the people on time for the show, please welcome back to the Superbike show. It is Dawn Hammersley. Hello, Dawn. Good evening.
Hello, hi.
How are you?
Good evening. Fine, thank you.
Excellent. You've been keeping busy?
Yes, a few announcements this week for BSB.
Yeah, and you've been busy making articles and doing some press releases.
Yeah, and a lot of sharing on Facebook.
A lot of sharing. And a big hello to all the various Facebook groups that you may be a part of, that you probably have seen Dawn sharing articles and bits of news in there. So, give us a share and even a comment on tonight's show, because we are definitely live. And to prove it, we'll even try and read out your nice message this evening. A big hello to Jack Hammersley, who joins us as well. Good evening, Jack.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm very good.
Yeah? Jack, by the way, if you don't know, Jack is a student learning media and, is that right?
Sports journalism, but it's basically the same thing.
Okay, yeah, I did condense it down into one thing, but to media, basically. Sports journalism degree, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent. And also joining us, I've put him in a different box for visual radio listeners. Luke Newman. Hello, Luke.
Hello, Lester. How are we?
Back again. I'm all right, but how are you?
I'm just getting over a cold, but I'm not too bad.
A COVID? Wow.
Cold. Oh. I've been testing. I'm not COVID positive.
He's been tested. He's all right for now. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. MotoGP happened at the weekend. It did happen. Some people walked away because before the race happened, because they thought the race wouldn't happen. Because it was looking very, very perilously close to being rained off. But the rain gods smiled down and gave us a race after all on the Sunday morning. And we'll start off with the big headline news. In practice, there was a big incident, if you don't know about this, for Marc Marquez. I'm sure of course you know about it. He'd basically had the biggest high side anyone's ever seen, and he ended up almost in the ocean. And because of that, he's done himself a mischief, and his problem with his eye socket or vein or nerve or something to do with his eye is basically hanging by a thread. That's my technical medical diagnosis. And he was declared unfit for the race, so he didn't race. Bit of a shame. Diplopia. That's the actual medical term for it. I just called it double vision. But, it is what it is. Marc Marquez, we will get into talking about how significant that is, what that means for him and the championship and the team, because probably big implications maybe. But anyway, the race itself was won and... by Miguel Oliveira at an extremely wet track. It was a decent race, I would say. We'll get on to talking about it. And also, Luke will be unveiling his ratings as well, his personal views on how everybody in MotoGP did, the official ratings that you can, I don't know, I don't know exactly what we're going to do with them, but we're going to add them all up and see basically an alternative Luke's championship based on his personal feelings on the day when he rated them. So, yeah, we'll get onto that later. Moto 2, it was Chandra, the first ever Thai Grand Prix race winner. After he won a shortened Moto 2 race at the track. And in Moto 3, it was Dennis Foggia returning to winning ways as he ran away at the front in the Moto 3 race. And also Scott Ogden in the points in only his second race. Fantastic. We will get on to talking more about those later. In World Superbikes, the Ukrainian rider, whose name I can't quite pronounce. Anyone want to try it? No? Yeah, him. He'll replace the injured Michael van der Mark at Catalonia and Aragon tests. So, yay. Well done. Good job. Yeah. Sorry, I butchered that name. Probably should have practiced it first. Sorry, Luke. He's having a moment. Rather heartbreaking announcement coming this week. World Supersport rider and lovable Aussie Ben Curry announced that he had a big crash some weeks ago, and he didn't tell us about it. But he's hoping to return to the track in time for the season opener. As he revealed on social media, his scar all up his back. Oh, it was... if you haven't seen it, don't go looking for it if you're a bit queasy about that sort of thing. Apparently, he broke his L1 vertebrae and suffered a splint in his spine after a motocross incident in February. Only just told us. So all the best, Ben. Terrible shame. And on a lighter note in the news, Max Biaggi and Jorge Lorenzo inducted into the MotoGP Hall of Fame. My question, why were they not already in there? But anyway, and also it's Dovi's birthday today. He is 36 years old. And 36. Some people are already saying that he shouldn't really still be in GP. But he is, so there you go. But someone who isn't in GP anymore, he switched to car racing. He's chasing Valentino Rossi now. Danny Pedrosa announced that I think he was rumoured to be doing a bit of car racing anyway. Jack, I'm going to cross to you for more information on this because you told me about this. He has now announced his racing ambitions in a Lamborghini.
Yeah, he's following Rossi's footsteps, it seems, as quite a few of them are. Just going into car racing, driving a Lamborghini, Huracan, I think it is, but don't quote me on it. And yeah, we're doing some GT racing. I don't know where, I don't know what championship, but seems to be looking forward to it from his Instagram post.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, we do actually keep abreast of various GT championships here on Motorsport Radio, so you can. If he does pretty well, we'll tell you about it, and if not, then we won't. Basically, that's generally what we do. Big happy birthday once again to Davizio, so 36 years old. Apologies if it's also anyone else's birthday, but I don't know about it right now. But you can message us and let me know, and I'll say happy birthday. So anyway, onto the big news. MotoGP. Luke, the big takeaways from the weekend.
Yeah, the biggest takeaway has to be Marc Marquez.
Luke's he really is suffering from a cold. It's okay. Don't feel bad.
Marc Marquez, his double vision has returned. It's a disaster really for himself and for Honda. Just came back after it, suffering with it at the end of 2021, and really, he was going to have a big crash the way he was going on the weekend. He was pushing himself harder and harder every session, and the bike just let go of it itself in warm-up at the very end of the session. And here we are really without Marc Marquez again in the championship. It's a crucial loss, and you've got to say that's the end of his championship hopes once again.
Wow. Okay, that sounded pretty definitive, Luke. Dawn, staying with Marc Marquez, he did look, as Luke said, pretty spectacular. He did some sort of ninja black magic move in qualifying or practice or something. I think he was sort of sliding around, backing into corners from what I saw. But is Luke right? Is that the end of Marc Marquez in 2022? Is he quick to write him off?
No, I tend to agree with Luke, really, because I just think someone, whether it be his team or family member, perhaps his dad, might need to sit him down now and just, explain everything to him, because he had 4 crashes this weekend. And that's a lot, in just one weekend, not even in the race. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he does retire. He won't want to, obviously.
Retire.
But who knows? Don't know.
Jack, well, I mean, we're already putting him in a GT car, Marc Marquez. His career's over now, apparently, just because he had that one high side. Your thoughts?
Well, what I saw was, they all talk about the old Marquez from 2019. I saw the old Marquez from 2015, where he didn't care how slow the bike was or whatever. He would just push the bike and he wouldn't care if he crashed. And unfortunately, I think he was trying to do what Rossi tend to do, where he would just put a random setup in warm-up, pray it would work, then go from that for the race. And instead of just backing off just a little bit, push at 90% he decided to go for 100, and it bit him quite badly. I don't know how bad he'll be, but I'd say he's definitely screwed himself out of 2 easy wins, Termas and Circuit of the Americas. So we have to wait and see when or if he comes back.
Yeah, I think the official team and the doctor statement said that there will be another assessment next week. Yeah, so we just have to wait and see. But wow, I mean, if you've not seen the actual incident that caused the thing, check it out. I mean, on at least the MotoGP social media channels, definitely one of the biggest, most spectacular high sides ever. I think. I think someone suggested it was 12 foot in the air or something like that. It was enormous, very scary, and well, if a bit of double vision is all you're suffering with after that, I'll take that, because I'd be in much worse shape if that happened to me. But anyway, yeah. So let us know. Do you think, if you're tuning into this, is that the end of Marc Marquez as we know it? Should he pack up, go home because of one small, tiny, massive incident which caused his eye to fall off or something? Or is he, I mean, in race 1, he did all right, I think.
Yeah, but the thing is now he has to consider his options, because he's now, he's financially set for the rest of his life. Let's just put that out there straight away. What's he on? Been on 25 million a year on this current contract. And he's now suffered with this diplopia 3 times in Moto 2 and now twice in MotoGP in the space of half a year. So you have to sit there and think, is it worth it for his health anymore? And like Dawn said, someone in his family, maybe his dad, Santi Hernandez, his crew chief, Alberto Puig, Repsol Honda team boss, someone has to sit him down and say, look, you can't take these risks anymore. You physically can't. You're not the 2019 Marc Marquez anymore, which could save any crash. It's just not possible anymore.
Do you think he can race with one eye?
No.
Well, he has 2, but you can just see double of everything. So, I mean...
No, it's like that's a risk to other riders as well, isn't it? So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the medical restrictions are, but
I thought of that.
I can see. I'm thinking about it now. I mean, you know, the riders already undergo some pretty extreme surgeries just to prolong their career, and if an eyeball's causing you a bit of jip, just whip it out.
But it's in the long run, isn't it? Would you want to last for that after your career's over?
Well, yeah, don't think about that. That's for later.
He's not going to race bikes his whole life, is he? Let's be honest.
He's still young, though. I mean, he's
27 now?
29.
Really?
It's depressing, Dawn, I tell you. Would he take... I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a bit silly. But
I mean, the man's got 8 world championships. He's not, you know, just turned up and won a couple races. He is one of the greatest riders of all time. So
only 8, though.
Only 8, it's not 9, but, you know, that's a different story. But, you know, he's turned up, he's done the business. He has beat, you know, Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo, also 2 of the greatest bike racers of all time. If you're going to go, and it's because of injury, it'll be extremely sad, but he's beat the best of the best in his time. So,
I've got in mind...
Good time.
I genuinely don't know how racers think, other than what they tell us they think, which I think they don't actually are. I think they're not fully honest with us half the time as to whether, you know, how injured they are. But I think if there's a slight possibility of him maybe getting back to his best, he will say anything to make sure he is on a MotoGP bike for as long as possible, and he will not take the easy route out and just retire because occasionally you might be a little bit, I don't know, brain damaged or what, eyeball damaged or whatever it is.
But then
it's like a nerve in your eye, isn't it?
Then there's Honda's side of it. Do they want a rider which could constantly suffer from this after a crash? Because I'm not sure how it works. I'm not a medical expert. I'm a sports journalism student. It probably, it's occurred twice now, and like I said, the span of half a year. So will it occur more often in the future? And would Repsol Honda really want the risk of that in their number one rider?
Jack, would Repsol really want the risk? Is Marc Marquez a big risk to them now? Should they kick him out? I think in show number 1 of the season, we already decided that he was going off to some satellite team for next year. Or I forgot what we said exactly, but
Yamaha.
Yeah, something like that. He was going to do a swap with Quartararo. But basically, should the Honda team start thinking of life without Marquez now?
Well, I think they already have with the new bike. So, I mean, in my mind, the top person who could replace Marquez in terms of level-wise is Pedro Acosta. So I feel like he's the one who's in prime position to take this opportunity, but you just don't know if Mark will have some power over Honda. So, because I think it's all like Rossi, he can keep going for as long as he wants to until it's physically not possible anymore.
Yeah, I think the thing with Acosta is that's like the popularist statement. I mean, Acosta hasn't lived up to expectations, Dawn, so far this year, has he?
No, not quite. No, he had another little bit of a sticky race, didn't he, this weekend, having the long lap penalty. So I think it's a little bit too early to say yet, really.
Well, I mean, the TV director seems to absolutely love that kid. I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, sorry, it's just me with my TV director hat on.
They also loved the Shaman on the weekend, walking up and down pit lane.
Yeah,
trying to get the rain to stop.
I didn't see that live when it happened because I was doing other things, and I only saw the pictures on social media. What?
Yeah, it was. I mean, the rain stopped, so
we need to bring it to BSB.
Yeah, I think that's what Taylor McKenzie said when on a...
He went over the corner. But, it was an interesting... let's talk about the actual race, though, itself. Luke, your thoughts on overall what happened from your unique perspective?
Well, it's probably worth saying I had been up all night for the last 3 nights watching it, so I was watching it very tired and annoyed after it had been delayed so long.
This is like Silverstone again.
Good start. But for a wet race, it was actually really good because there had been a lot of wet races in the past where you just sat there and it gets a bit boring and not a lot's happening. But really, I was very entertained by this. I don't know if it was because it was shortened as well, which was probably because the track was falling apart, which was another issue. But it just seemed like there were battles going on all the way through the field, because even there was a battle for 8th at one point, including Darren Binder, which was a shock. But it was a very, very entertaining wet race, and it's a classic, really.
A classic? You're going as far as saying that?
A classic wet race, I'd say, yeah. Not on the dry scale, but for a wet race, it's one of the best I've seen.
Well, okay, yeah, we'll mark it up as a classic, if only for the fact that it was the first race in, 25 years there or something. But, yeah. Dawn, your thoughts on the overall race?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like Luke was saying, there was like a mid-pack battle with Binder, Brad Binder, Darren Binder, I think Bastianini, and that part of the race was really exciting. A bit more what was going on at the front, actually. So,
you watch all of it live?
Yes, I did. Yeah,
that's good.
I was relieved it was a little bit later.
That's good. Yeah, excellent. And Jack, fellow sports journalism student, just like Luke. Your take on the race overall. Did you watch it live? What were your thoughts at the time? Have you changed your thoughts since?
Yeah, I watched it live, and I was very happy and surprised by Miguel's performance, because he just, after a few laps, took the lead and cleared off. And then I was also surprised by Quartararo as well, being able to understand the wet conditions a bit better than he has in the past and get second place. And I'm also just really confused over Pekko again. It looked like he fixed the problems, and the rain came, and that was it. But yeah, I wish we got to see more of that 8th place battle, because it looked really entertaining. When you come to the Binder brothers, you got entertainment there. So it seemed I think it was about 7th in that group. So I wish we got to see more of that. But Miguel did an awesome performance, like he did at Catalunya last year.
Yeah, one thing that we've not mentioned so far that was mentioned a lot in the run-up to the race is just how hot and humid the conditions were. Probably a little bit of relief with the rain coming, but the official the official results said that the humidity on the day from the race was 98%, Luke. Humidity.
Mad. Well, that, I think I saw Frankie Cacchetti had tweeted about it being 67 degrees track temperature and the build-up to the weekend, which is unheard of, really, which is probably why Michelin bought in the rear tyre that they used in Austria and Thailand in 2018 and 2019, which caused a lot of fuss from Honda and Suzuki. I think Honda have sort of put the blame on Marquez's crash on Michelin because of that tyre, from what I've seen. But that it was an unknown tyre that hasn't been used in a couple of years, and it just added something else into the dry conditions that they weren't expecting after the test from where they were using the current spec tyres there.
It's an interesting point you make. Dawn, tyre issues for Marquez maybe? Is there anything behind that?
No, I don't think so. I just think he's pushing too much.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's just pushed a bit too much and came a cropper. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, Jack, same question for you as well, really. As Luke mentioned, the rarely used tyre from Michelin. How did you think that performed in general? Did it have much of an effect?
Well, it in theory it should have had more of an effect on the inline four bikes, including Yamaha, because only Suzuki got done, but the profile of the tyre is a little bit different, and it should favour more the V4s. Plus, the cogs of the actual tyre might have been harder. Over Rossi saying something about the 2018 and 19 tyres being a lot harder than the current ones. But yeah, I think they definitely seem to have some impact of rear grip, but I think in general, I think Marquez's crash had just more to do with him pushing. I think it was a little bit offline as well. So I think it's a factor in Marquez's crash, but I think overall the tyres, well, we didn't even get to see the job they could have done because the race never even took place on dries. But what we saw over the weekend, the tyres seemed to perform all right.
Yeah. Okay. There was an interesting thing regarding the ride heights. If you don't know about this, KTM's Brad Binder, who said 8th place is like a victory, he said afterwards, after his rear ride height malfunction. He said something happened, I don't know what. Every time I braked, it would come up. I'd turn, I'd go left, I'd let go of the brake and it would drop down again. The whole thing, I did the whole thing with the ride height device completely down. Considering I finished 8th, I think it's a win, really. And there's been some decision on a ride height device being banned. Luke, you hopefully know more.
The front ride height device has been banned for 2023. I think it was on health and safety grounds and financial costs, because Ducati have once again sort of jumped the gun and brought it this year, which may be what's hindering them a little bit as well, because the bikes which have it on don't seem to be doing well, and I think a few of them have taken it off now already. But it's good to... I love the innovations they bring, but if there is, if it takes away from the fact that it is a motorbike and it's not a Formula One car, I don't really want to see them controlling the ride height while racing. I just want to see good, might sound very old-fashioned, but good classic bike racing sort of thing. Some of the gizmos they bring, like the wings were cool. I like that for the aero and downforce, but the ride height devices, I'm not a fan of.
Ride height, GPS, which has also caused a bit of a few problems recently as well. Dawn, are things just getting a bit too out of control, a bit too technical? Has the championship allowed maybe a bit too much technology to almost like make bikes automatic, really? And is that something we want to see?
Yeah, like what Luke said, like years ago in BSB, sometimes you just want to see a motorcycle and someone get on and ride it. And then, you do sort of know it's what the rider's done, perhaps a little bit more than what the bike's doing. So, yeah, but I think it's just what we can expect now. It's futurism and technology, so, yeah.
Well, I'm all for technology and all that, down with the kids and stuff. We're on TikTok. Hello, TikTokers and stuff. But Jack, is there too much technology in MotoGP? Is Luke right? Should we, or should things just be kept relatively simple and straightforward?
I mean, if it's kept simple, I guess it would make things easier, but I think naturally everything just progresses and technology progresses, and you're always just thinking, what are Ducati going to bring next? Because they always seem to find loopholes in every single rule where they can think of some new random device which can gain them half a second or something like that. So I think it's just how the game is.
Yeah.
It's always going to evolve.
similarities and stuff have been and parallels have been made with Formula One in that, yes, it is, you know, the most technologically advanced two-wheeled sport, and yes, technology should always be pushing boundaries and finding an extra half a tenth or a tenth and stuff. But when you apologising at the end of a race because the bike's GPS got lost on track, it didn't know where it was, or the ride height device, you know, the relatively kind of stupid things, really. That says to me personally, my own personal view is that technology is just a bit too much, or it's maybe not been perfected. Would be maybe a polite thing to say. I don't want Ducati on my back. Anyway, so yeah, let us know your thoughts if you tuned in, listening live or not, or you've just downloaded this Superbike show on Motorsport Radio, and you're all for the good old days of when there was no such thing as GPS. It was just basically a bit like BSB, where you dived on it and went racing and had a bit of fun. Instead of finding out that your bike's been trying to go one way and you wanted it to go another way, for example. Let us know. Get in touch. Use the comments box in the comments box wherever you're tuned in, because we're on all sorts of different platforms now. Dawn, we're on Amazon, not Prime. Ooh, that's another topic for another day. I got so much heat over my little rant last week.
Don't start this again.
I had at least 2 comments which flooded in. Anyway, no, but anyway, it's fixed now. But we're on Amazon Music platform. We're on Audible as well, just in case you get sick of listening to interesting stuff. You can listen to us, and all your regular podcast outlets as well. Anyway, staying with MotoGP and Suzuki. Let's talk a bit about them. Luke, they apparently, well, I'll let you lead on that one. Suzuki.
Yeah, Suzuki, they massively benefited from the wet. Alex Rins was practically praying that we'd get a wet race, because in the dry, their pace was just awful, really. He had the better pace than Mir, but they were both just wanted it to rain the whole time. Silva and Gintoli, the Suzuki test rider, was saying on BT Sport that their riders needed the rain to come for a good race, and they did. Joan Mir qualified 17th. Didn't think he'd finish the race if it was dry, because he was having moments at every corner. Managed to finish in 6th place, which really was incredible, because he stormed through in the first few laps. But Rins finished 5th as well. So the Suzuki boys, you know, top 7 results for them, which was very, very good, considering how their weekend had been going. But they just lacked that little bit more to push for the podium. But it was a very solid weekend for them. Very solid Sunday for them.
Yeah, Dawn, your thoughts on the 2 Suzuki bikes and their performances?
Yeah, I think they did much better this weekend, and like Luke said, they'd be very glad to get the results that they did, because they weren't expecting that, and they need some more better rounds behind them, I think. Yeah,
do you, would it have just been, as Luke suggested, the conditions, the wet conditions, or is that more of a sort of a true pace? I'm sure the team probably thinks that's where they deserve to be, but what do you think?
Yeah. No, I think the weather helped them, definitely. Okay. Especially with me, like I say, where he qualified and where he ended up, definitely.
Okay, and same question to you as well, Jack. Really, your thoughts on how the 2 Suzukis went, and was it just because of the rain?
But I think they'll definitely be scratching their heads when they got to free practice, because in the test they completely dominated in terms of race pace, and especially Rins. So I think probably the Michelin tyres, that's something where they got done over. But I think to rescue a 5th and a 6th place, I think was definitely due to the weather. Rins, I think, could have definitely got top 10 in the dry. Mir probably could have scraped a point, because Mir's got the intelligence to ride around the problems. But I think they definitely got saved by the wet weather.
Saved by the wet weather. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. All right then. Let's talk about Yamaha and a second place for Fabio Quartararo and pole after an awful first round. Luke and Morbidelli did all right as well.
Quartararo looked back to his 2021 ways, but the track very much was Yamaha style. There were some good twisty corners, and there weren't any very long straights where the V4s could pick up top speed, or Suzuki now, who have good top speed. But Quartararo looked solid. He had been poor in the wet previously in previous years, but put together a second place, which really for Quartararo in the wet was amazing, because going into a wet race I was thinking Quartararo won't do well here. He'll drop back like he always does. The Yamaha seemed to struggle a little bit last year in the wet, which was a surprise considering I'd done before. But yeah, Morbidelli as well. His best result since his 2021 injury in 7th place, which solid result for Morbidelli after, again, a not so great Qatar for either of those boys. So, and of course, got to mention Darren Binder in 10th place, which probably would have shocked a lot of people, but in testing, one day it rained as well, and he was one of the only riders to benefit from the going out on the wet tyres at the Indonesian test, which a lot of riders didn't. So, smart move from Darren, really.
Fair enough, yeah. Dawn, for Yamahas.
Yeah, I thought they had a really good round. And I thought Fabio did really well because he was up the front and he lost a few positions, but he just didn't let go and just kept pushing. And it would have been interesting if we'd got a few more laps. Could he have pushed for the win?
Could that have been the case, Jack? Do you agree? Could he have gone a bit? Yeah.
Well, he was definitely catching Miguel, but I think there was one lap where Fabio caught Miguel by over a second, but then after that, Miguel just instantly responded. So, had it been under the normal race distance, it would have just depended on both of their consistencies. But I think Miguel would have just held him off. But Frankie was having a good weekend until he crashed in qualifying, and that sort of screwed his weekend up. Plus the penalty he got for a practice start that went wrong. But I think one thing that Quartararo definitely benefited from was the fact that at that track, the grip in the wet is very high, because Ray and Redding last year complimented the track of how grippy it was. I think that's probably aided Fabio in that aspect.
Okay, well, I've just been having a quick look at the fastest laps from the race. Anyone like to guess who it was who got the fastest lap? If you don't already know.
Quartararo?
Fabio?
Yeah, I was going to say Quartararo.
Yeah, it was Fabio by less than a tenth. His quickest time, 138.749. That was set, most people's fastest lap was set towards the end of the race when people were lighter and the track was a little bit bedded in, I suppose. A bit more grippier, as Jack says. But yeah, Zarco in the fastest lap charts. Zarco second, Mir third, Oliveira fourth, Jack Miller fifth, and Rins sixth. And Dovizioso, well, anyway, he was last.
Yeah.
He's not. Yeah, anyway, never mind. But yeah, Quartararo definitely the fastest on track towards the end of the race. So probably backing up what you said there, Jack, in that it's a pretty grippy track, and he and that bike did all right. Could have done a little bit better though. But let's talk about next the Repsol Honda. Paul, and your thoughts on how his race went. Luke?
To be honest, I was very disappointed with Paul, because he looked really promising in pre-season around Mandalika, and again Honda did have problems with that Michelin tyre that they brought for this weekend, but he just didn't look to be there at all weekend. He looked out of the races, and even when the rain came at the end, he could only manage a 12th place finish, which really wasn't at all where I was expecting to see Paul at the start of the season. When we got to Mandalika, I was expecting him to be battling for the podium or the race win like he was in Qatar, but just still went wrong.
Disappointing race for Paul. Dawn, is that your take from it?
Yes, very, because like you say, the result he got in Qatar, was expecting at least to be fighting for a podium. And it was like Luke said, I don't think he turned up this weekend, fortunately.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Would have been interesting to see, though, maybe if Mark did race, where he would have been if that bike, if the team's performance was as bad as we're saying it kind of is. I mean, would he have even made the top 10, Mark?
He would have crashed. I'll say it now.
Yeah.
I think you're starting to really hate Mark now, aren't you?
No, I think even last year in some of the flag-to-flag races, or I think in all of them, he crashed because he was just pushing too hard when the rain came, and he probably would have done the same again.
Let's make him an honorary Brit, a British rider. He crashes so much. Anyway, we'll get on to them later. Jack, Paul, for you, how did he get on? Is he? What's going on with him?
I think just the bike simply didn't work. I think that's as simple as it can get. And I think one thing is that he's quite a fiery character. When things don't go well, he gets hot-headed and etc. I think he did well just to finish and get points. So I think that's the positive he's got to take out of it. Go to Sermas, where historically with Marquez is a good bike, and they can hope to get a good result there, and Circuit of the Americas, where the Honda's won every race apart from one. So hopefully he can bounce back and fight for the podium and maybe get his first GP win in those tracks.
Well, that remains to be seen. Maybe not. I don't think anyone will be putting money on him anytime soon. Paul finished the race in 12th place, just behind Enea Bastianini. Interesting that we've not even mentioned him yet, and he won the previous race. But there you go. That's how it is sometimes. Aprilia, Alicia finished in 9th place for Aprilia. Luke, your thoughts on this? Is it's a bit of a weird position for that combination. Are we, with Aprilia, are we expecting him to be sort of higher now, or is that roughly where we expect them to be, or are they underwhelming a little bit now? I mean, what's going? I'm not sure what to make of them at the moment.
Yeah, with Elation, the Aprilia, I was expecting higher. Actually, from the Aprilias all round, even from Vinales, because again, did well in testing, but that's another one to talk about. Alicia Spargero, 9th. Sort of nowadays you're used to seeing Alicia battling for 6th, 5th. So to see him almost outside the top 5 and outside the top 7 seemed weird in a way. Whereas a couple of years ago, we would have been saying 9th place for Alicia Spargero was a great weekend, you know. Alicia and Aprilia should be really happy with 9th. But now it's almost a bit like okay, that was a decent weekend, I suppose, for them.
Well, his teammate Vinales finished in 16th, Dawn. So again, same question. I mean, where are Aprilia? They seem to be kind of all over the place.
All over the place. Like I say, you do expect Alicia to be sort of 5th, 6th, or even perhaps, chasing the podium. And actually, I think I said to Jack over the weekend, I didn't recall BT Sport even mentioning Vinales in the race or anything. So he's just not there at the moment at all.
Why would that be though, Jack?
Because Maverick has done a very classic Maverick thing where he's done well and tested and then he's just disappeared. But now he's not at Yamaha, he's at Aprilia, there's less pressure on him and there's less expectation. So, and I feel like it's just become forgotten with everything. So I feel like Maverick, if Maverick can understand the bike a bit better and eventually start battling for the places Alicia's, you'll probably get more attention. But it's just, he's not, I don't think I even saw him on the cameras anywhere.
No, not at all.
In the background.
No.
Yeah, but I think Alicia said in the dry, he thinks he could have fought for the podium, because he said on his qualifying, and the reason he qualified quite badly was because he got done by yellow flags and he made mistakes. But in the wet, Alicia isn't the strongest, so I think to get a top 10 in the wet for him, because he's not the biggest rider, so he can't generate a lot of heat in the tyres, but that probably doesn't matter anyway at Mandalika. But I think he did all right just to get in the top 10, bring home some points, and hopefully he can. He's only 10 points off the championship lead, so still decent.
Okay. Well, we will find out exactly how well he performed, Alicia. Sure, he finished 9th in the race, but we will get Luke's official rider ratings on him and everyone else in MotoGP shortly. Will Fabio Quartararo be the best rider of the weekend, or will it be Miguel Oliveira, or perhaps it might be someone else, depending on whatever mood Luke was in at the time he did those ratings at whichever hour of the morning it was. But yeah, stay tuned. We'll do that shortly. That's going to be interesting, and then we'll pick it apart and say things like, what? You can't be serious. You're crazy. and some such. And you can join in because we are live this evening on Motorsport Radio. It's the Superbike Show. Hello and welcome. My name's Lester. Luke Newman here with us, and Dawn Hammersley and Jack Hammersley as well. No Jay King tonight. Don't know. I'm guessing his internet's exploded or something. He's high-sided. He's probably passed out. He's had a busy work schedule, and he's getting ready for his Fab Racing Championship Onslaught next weekend, which is live here on Motorsport Radio. Hello. But anyway, yeah, staying with MotoGP for one last topic. Ducati. Ducati famously pre-season, everybody was saying things like, this is basically theirs to lose now, and Bagnaia is going to walk away with it, and especially Luke and Dawn, they were saying that especially, and they made me put a little bet on Pekko as well to win the first race, because he was apparently going to walk away with it. So, and I lost a lot of money. Well, £15. But anyway, they're disastrous. Was it a disaster? I don't know. What are we making of it, Luke?
Yeah, I was just thinking then what I was going to say about Ducati, and really, I don't know if it was a bad or good weekend for them, because
1 point for Bagnaia, 15th place, and Will Miller just outside of the podium in 4th place.
They had Zarco in 3rd for their Pramac team, which is a good result, and he looked strong all weekend. And then they had Miller, who finished 4th. Really, I expected more from Miller in the wet. If anything, I thought he'd be battling for... He sort of dropped off the podium group a bit, and I was sort of expecting at one point that he'd run away for the win in the early stages, and because it just seemed like Miller time in a way. The conditions just seemed to suit him perfectly, but obviously it wasn't meant to be for Miller. But a 4th place is better than a DNF, which he got in Qatar because of his bike GPS. But Bangaya 15th was just dreadful again, and Martin as well crashing out again, which this time was his own fault, not Pekko's.
Dawn, are we maybe expecting too much from the factory Ducatis, considering all the pre-season hype? Was Miller a bit disappointing in the race? And
a little bit. I did think he was going to clear off, and I thought, he's got a little bit of pressure on him, so he'd want to try and get a win. But he did just seem to drop off slightly, and I just don't know what's going on with Pekko at all. Yeah,
seems like a bit of a mystery, because... have
we all been putting too much on him? I don't know.
Well, I mean, for the record, I didn't So I'm just gonna nothing against the kid. He's shows a nice lad, but I just didn't buy into any of the hype pre-season. But did you, Jack? And are you disappointed with his so far 2 performances of the season? And what did you make of the Ducatis overall at the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, after watching Pekko destroy everyone at the end of last season, I was like, yeah, he's going to do the exact same thing. Round 1, I think it was just the bike, for some reason, didn't work on the front. It seems like now he's got it sorted. I think the only thing that screwed him over was the wet. And I think it's probably the first full wet race he's actually done in a long time, because the other ones he's done is flag to flag.
Well, it was the same wet conditions for everyone.
Yeah, but I just don't think he's just not got that experience, because he said like last year he's only done like 2 wet races, so he's not that experienced in the wet, despite being very strong in the wet conditions last season. But I just feel like when he gets that podium or that win, wherever it comes, probably I'd say Portimao is probably the best bet where he'll win. If he can start winning, he'll probably start all rolling, and then we'll see where it goes. In terms of the other ones, it's looking promising, but just the lacking something. I don't know what that something is.
Luke, do we know what the Ducatis are lacking?
No.
Speed, maybe.
I don't know. At the start of the season, even at the end of last season, going into the Jerez test, Pekko and the Ducatis were just dominating. And then it's like over winter, something's just gone wrong. They've done something with this bike that isn't right, thinking it would make it better, and it hasn't. And whether it's with the engine, whether it's aero, if it's the engine, they're pretty much stuffed. They can't change that now. So whatever they've done, if there's something they've done there, making it sort of a hybrid engine, then that's something they've got to deal with for the year. But it's even like Bastianini. He won the opening Grand Prix, and we haven't even mentioned him. He finished 11th in the race, which really, that was his first fully wet MotoGP race, so you can understand it a little bit. But at this point, you've just got to deal with all the conditions. Everyone's got the same conditions, so at this point, you just got to deal with it, really.
Exactly. It's no point sort of complaining about the rain, because it's the same rain that everyone else has to ride in. That's my opinion. I'm not right.
Yeah.
I can talk. I'm not even racing, so. But yeah, get on with it. Basically, It wouldn't be funny though if after like the debrief at the end of the weekend, Ducati's sort of downloaded all their data and properly debriefed through everything, and they're looking through the stats and like, wait a minute, this bike thinks it's at Silverstone. No wonder it was going so slowly. I mean, it happened once. It was GPS.
They didn't put a number in on a Miller system in Qatar, but that's a different thing. But like Jack said, Portimao could be a good place for Pekko especially. But if, say, they wait until Jerez for their problems to be solved, we're already a quarter of the way through the season at that point, I think. So if someone like a Binder can keep putting in consistent results, they could build a lead over the Ducatis in the championships. Fabio, if he can get some good results now at Termas and America, then he could also build a lead. Suzuki are looking consistent. So really, Ducati can't get left behind. They have to do something to fix this.
They have to do something. Quickly, before we get onto Luke's official rider ratings, Dawn, what can Ducati do to fix whatever it is that they need to fix? Have a guess.
I think only they know that, I think, at this point in the game, I think. Okay.
Jack, any ideas?
Get on and win.
Yeah.
That's all they can do. I think the package just said, it just got to
gel with it.
Just got to unlock it, get it to its full potential. Because I think the potential of it's better than the GP21, but they just don't know how to get there yet. But once they figure it out, I'm sure they'll be fine. But it's just how long it'll take.
Well, yeah. That is a good question. Will it be a quarter of the way through the season? And will that be too late? Probably. But we'll let you know. And more importantly, Luke will let you know how well they actually did, regardless of the actual race results on a Sunday, because Luke will be rating every one of the MotoGP riders and 10 of the top 10 of Moto 2, Moto 3 throughout the season. And we'll be keeping a running list, and effectively like Luke's alternative championship, if you will. So, in reverse order then, Luke, for MotoGP, your ratings, and this is scored out of 10 for each rider. So let's start with, I suppose, the losers, the riders that you really did have no respect for at all at the weekend.
Well, obviously, Marc Marquez won't be on this at all because he didn't take part in the race, so his qualifying.
He did qualify.
Yeah, but that's not even. I'm not even going to consider.
Oh, he did that nice save.
He qualified 15th as well.
Oh.
So the lowest I give is 1 out of 10 as well. I don't give zeros. Taka, I gave him a 1.
Ow.
No.
The same as Marquez, who didn't even race.
No, I gave him. Well, Mark doesn't feature on the list.
Oh,
he didn't
okay,
race,
right,
so
okay.
he doesn't even get a point.
Right, okay.
But yeah, I gave Taka a 1. I just haven't been impressed by Taka this season. There's just, I said it last week, I probably said it the week before. This is his last year, I reckon, in MotoGP before he gets dropped for Ayagura, who continually to impress in Moto 2. I mean, Taka finished 19th.
Yeah.
He was in the mix with the rookies who had never done a wet MotoGP race before. Taka's been around since 2018. It's not looking good for Taka. I also gave a 1 out of 10 to Pekko Bangaya.
Ow. Wow.
I wasn't impressed by Pekko again in the race. Yeah, he had a good qualifying. Probably could have gave him a bit higher, but I don't know. I think Pekko needs to sort himself out as well at the moment. His teammate was up in 4th in the race. Yeah, his teammate's a demon in the wet, but if you want to win the MotoGP championship, you've got to finish higher in all conditions because, like we said earlier, everyone's got the same to deal with.
He did get a point.
He did. He did indeed.
And you're giving him 1 point now. Okay.
That's his 1 point in the championship as well.
Fair enough. Okay. Who's next on your list?
Martin. I gave him a 2 out of 10. Qualified a little bit better.
He DNF'd, didn't he?
He DNF'd.
Yeah.
Qualified a little bit better than Pekko, which is what gave him a 2 out of 10. But again, Martin it was his own fault this time as well. And yeah, it was wet, but everyone's got to deal with it, so get on with it. But it's just, a lot of people, some people had Martin down as potentially a dark horse for the championship, but it's not been a good start at all for Martin in this championship. I've also given Remy Gardner a 2 out of 10. He finished last out of all the riders that did finish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was his first ever wet MotoGP race, but he was massively off the pace. He was 6 seconds behind Bezzecchi at the end of the race. He was in 20th, so it was a hard weekend for Gardner. It looked like. Vinales, I also gave him a 2 out of 10. Finished 16th, like we said earlier. Nowhere. Wasn't even shown by the TV cameras, so what needs to be said on him. Luca Marini, I gave a 2.5.
Oh, right.
I expected more from Luca as well because of testing. He topped day 2, I think, of the Mandalika test. So I think he'd do a little bit better, but 14th was all he could get, so 2.5. This Dovi, I gave a 2.5. He didn't finish for technical problems, but he worked his way up the order while he was in the race. I think at one point he was battling just outside the top 10, maybe got up to 11th or 12th when his bike cut out. So I think Dovi could have had a decent result in the wet because he's another rider that likes wet conditions, but sadly his bike cut out, so we'll never know.
Some controversial points there. I mean, scoring riders who DNF'd pretty highly. I mean, it's your official ratings, but yeah, carry on.
Well, so, let's go. Bastianini, I gave it a 3 out of 10. 11th place. Again, qualified decently. So, 11th, first full wet MotoGP race. Wasn't an awful result. He was in the battle with Binder, the Espargaros, the other Binder. So, he was in with a hard bunch of riders. So really, he did well to fight with them because they do like a harsh move. Bezzecchi. Why did I give a Bezzecchi a 3.5?
Yeah, why did you?
Why did I? I don't know.
Why did Bezzecchi? He finished in 20th and slightly ahead of Remy Gardner, who you gave like a 1 or something to. So what was your...
Why did I give Bezzecchi a 3.5?
Have you been having too much cough medicine?
Maybe it's just how what his potential was, because FP4 was really good and he just didn't do anything.
I'm going to be honest with you. I made this very early in the morning after staying up all night. So I'm going to agree with you there, Jack. His potential was very good. And, he could have done better if it wasn't wet.
Yeah.
So Bezzecchi, 3.5. Moving swiftly onwards. Digi Antonio. I was very impressed with Digi this weekend, actually. Another rider who I think was caught out by the wet. I gave him a 3.5 as well. I thought Digi was brilliant in qualifying. Got himself through into Q2 in his second MotoGP race on the Grassini bike, which is the 2021 Ducati. So 3.5 for Digi. Paolo Spargero got a 3.5 as well. Again, purely because...
What is it with 3.5?
I love a 3.5. Not even 3. Pole could have done so much better, and he looked like he could have after testing, but it just didn't happen for him, which, wasn't a great weekend for Pole, especially after such a promising test and a good Qatar Grand Prix. Alex Marquez, I gave him a 4 out of 10. I was pleasantly surprised with Alex this weekend after crashing out in Qatar. The wet probably actually helped Alex, since he is a rider who has gone well in the wet in the past. If you think back to the French Grand Prix in 2020, when he got a podium on the Repsol Honda. So, could have potentially gone a bit higher in the wet, but points on the board for Alex.
13th in the race.
Mm-hmm. Ralph Fernandez. I gave him a 4.5. I thought he had a good race in the wet for his first ever MotoGP race in the wet. Second highest rookie. And it didn't seem to be going amazingly his weekend. And then he had an okay race, which I was pleasantly surprised with, actually, with Fernandez. See, Brad Binder. I scored Brad Binder before I knew about his ride height fault. So let's keep that in mind. I gave Brad Binder a 6 out of 10. Okay. I was disappointed that Brad finished 8th at first. In the wet, you think to last year in Austria where he was great even on slick tyres in the wet. So I was really confused about why Brad didn't seem to make any progress, but now we know about his ride height fault. I can cut Binder some slack on this one. Alicia Spargero, I gave a 6.5. Again, it was just, like I said earlier, a little bit disappointing for Alicia, but he is on the Aprilia at the end of the day, which isn't a championship winning bike, isn't a race winning bike yet. So it was a decent result for Espargaro. Potentially could have been better. 6.5. Morbidelli, I gave a 7 out of 10. Also the position he finished in the race.
7, that's
I was impressed with Morbidelli. His best result since his injury. Looks like he's potentially making his way back to full fitness, back to coming closer to fighting at the front. Was also hit with a grid penalty, which was deserved. But I'll give him a 7 out of 10. I liked Morbidelli this weekend.
Okay.
Miller, I gave him a 7 out of 10. He just, it's Miller in the wet, isn't it, really? He did well, got fourth. Could have scored higher, but I felt a bit disappointed by Miller in the wet since how good he has been previously in wet conditions. So I was hoping for a podium from Jack, but a fourth is respectable. Rins, I gave a 7 out of 10. Strong weekend from Rins, 5th place. Didn't look like he'd be anywhere, potentially maybe your top 10 scraping it in the dry, so the wet saved his weekend. His Suzuki teammate, Joan Mir, I gave a 7.5. He made his way through from 17th on the grid up to 6th. It was an amazing race from Joan, so very, very surprised with how he did. But like Jack said earlier, he's an intelligent rider. He works his way around the conditions, so 7.5.
So does a rider get more points having started the race further back because of whatever reason in quali? If they make that spectacular ride up through the field, they get half a point extra from you, versus if they just have a consistent race in 5th. Is that the thinking there?
Yeah, I'd say he had more to work through, especially in the rain, the wet conditions, which...
Because, if he did better in qualifying, wouldn't be down there, would he? Just saying.
Mission and rear tyre problems. Honda are going to claim it, I'm going to claim it.
Okay. Sorry, carry on.
Darren Binder, 8 out of 10.
8? What? He finished
8 out of 10.
Okay, well, he did finish in 8th.
He didn't, he finished 10th. That's the other Binder. Darren Binder.
Damn it.
MotoGP rookie. Never raced on a Moto2 bike in a wet race. It was unbelievable. I did not expect to see Darren Binder getting a top 10 in the second race of his MotoGP career.
Why not?
I just didn't think it was possible. I'm definitely a Darren Binder doubter. I'll put it out there. I didn't think he'd be anywhere this season, but I have been pleasantly surprised by Darren's form so far this season, and hopefully it will continue for the rest of the season.
Fair enough, okay.
Johan Zarco, gave him an 8.5. Solid weekend for Johan. First podium of the year. Job done, really. Quartararo, I gave him a 9 out of 10.
Ooh.
Again, first podium of the year, pole position. Again, he had a good race. Oliveira, I gave him a 10 out of 10.
10?
Yeah, it was incredible. Oliveira is one of those riders who has admitted before he doesn't like racing in the wet. And for him to win a wet race would do his confidence a world of good. He's done his championship a world of good after a very bad Qatar Grand Prix. But, qualified 7th place, won the race. Very happy with how Oliveira did.
I remember you saying the other week that it's very rare, almost impossible to get a 10 because you're such a stickler on these totally made-up ratings.
I don't think those words came out of my mouth. I've given a...
That was the general gist of it. But
that's my 5th 10 out of 10 already.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've been paying attention. But
send you a spreadsheet.
Okay. Yes, I did look at that anyway. So Oliveira, Dawn, does he deserve a 10 out of 10? What did you make of the ratings overall?
Yeah, very well done there, Luke. Yeah, he did. He did deserve a 10 out of 10.
What would you change?
I'd give Bezecchi a 4.
Yeah, and what did you give him, Luke?
3.5.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I bumped him up slightly. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Jack, what did you make of him, of those ratings?
Yeah, I agree with all of them. The other one is Brad. Well, there's two things. One is Brad Binder. Obviously, before 6, fair enough. I don't know. I'd just like to know what you would have given him now, knowing the problem.
Now knowing with the problem, maybe bump him up to a 7. I'd say now knowing that he did ride with those problems, 7.5 maybe, because that in itself is a very good job, but. Yeah, at the time when I wrote these, and they're finalised as soon as I write them,
They're locked in.
They are. I'm not changing them. I've put them on the spreadsheet. I'm not going through the hassle of changing that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would have bumped up Binder now. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other one is Remy Gardner. And I would agree with him too, but when I look back at the fastest laps, he actually said he was maybe in the top 10 for the fastest laps. So he just did a Remy thing where it took him a while. As soon as he figured it out, he was fast. But actually, it was too late.
Yeah, he was, like I said, 6 seconds off Bezecchi though. But yeah, like you said, he did work it out towards the end. So hopefully for the next wet race or flag to flag, he'll have a setup or how to ride the bike sorted in the wet.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, I'm just having a look through some of the fastest laps, and yeah, interesting. But that doesn't necessarily always make a consistent run of laps and points and finishing positions. So what did you make of it? If you're tuned in, listening to the Superbike show, hello and welcome. If this is your first time ever listening to us, welcome to the show. We do this usually most Wednesdays every week, and it's always live as well, because I can't be bothered editing a podcast, basically. So did you agree? Would you, if you were scoring out of 10, scored Oliveira a 10, a perfect 10 of all things? Was it spectacular, as Luke said? Maybe Quartararo would have scored equally as high. Who knows? Let us know. Get in touch. Have your say at Motorsport Radio on all social media channels: TikTok, Twitter, Twitch. Hello, YouTube's on, and all the ones that kids are on nowadays. Yeah, it's very good. Right, the Superbike show continues here on Motorsport Radio as we dive into Moto 2. Unless anyone else has got anything else to say about MotoGP, any other big things? No, I think we've pretty much covered that over an hour. Moto 2 then, and Chantra's first ever Grand Prix, and he won it. And it's the first one for a Thai rider. Yeah. Perfect. You should score pretty highly on your top 10 for Moto 2, but we'll get into that later, Luke. Your thoughts on the Moto 2 race?
Yeah, it was a very, very good race from Chantra. Controlled it at the front. Did get a bit worried at the end though that he was going to throw it away, because he seemed to be pushing like I didn't know he had a 3-second lead. But yeah, he did incredible. You could tell what it meant for him after the race with his interview with Simon Crowfar. He was mental, but he did really well. First ever Grand Prix win for a Thai rider. More Grand Prix wins this season for Thai riders than there are for Spanish riders, which is something. But no, he did incredible. Definitely put himself on the map for high-end Moto 2 riders. Hopefully he can continue it throughout the season now.
He put Thailand on the map and himself, Dawn. Your thoughts? Did you watch? I'm presuming you did see Moto 2 race.
I did, yeah.
What did you make of it?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good race. Disappointed for Jake, obviously. We all thought that,
I wasn't going to mention it, but
yeah, that was it. It was a bit like, ooh, yeah. But no, Chantra did really well. Like I say, he did control it. He knew what he was doing, so it was really enjoyable. As Luke pointed out, interesting stats that there's been more. What did he say? More Thai
race winners this season than there has been Spanish riders, which and Spain always pump through the young Spanish talents into the championship.
Hi Spain, hi Donna, hi Liam, who's also tuned in, former host of the Superbike show here on Motorsport Radio. So Jack, your thoughts? Moto 2, Chantra. What did you make of his performance in the race?
Yeah, he just did it perfectly. Took the lead after turn 1, and no one saw him after that. He had that really sketchy moment on the last lap at turn 9 where we all held our breath. But to see him win was very, very good. It couldn't really be any more perfect. His race interview afterwards was really good and entertaining. So yeah, he showed good promise in pre-season in a couple of the tests. So it's nice to see that he got a win under his belt. You never know, he might be able to form some kind of championship attack. You never know from these things.
Yeah. What was the reason he was not at the? Just remind me again, because I have like a ludicrously short memory. But he didn't race at round 1, did he?
Oh, he crashed and he broke his hand. He broke either his finger, his wrist, or his hand. He broke something in that area. Okay. He broke something and he didn't race in round 1. That's why I got confused when I was looking through the results earlier. I was like, what? Okay, fair enough. But so far, this year, 100% win rate for him.
Mm-hmm. Or from the championship as well.
Yeah, so should we typically start going mad about his championship chances? He's already won it, Dawn. Let's just wrap it up now, just because, I don't know, we tend to do that sort of thing whenever someone displays a really good performance, which is probably just a one-off. No offence, Chantra. I'm sure you'll do all right in future. But yeah, what about the others then? Vietti, another podium for him. Luke, your thoughts on how he did?
Very well again. He won the opening race, second in the second race. Not a bad first 2 races for Vietti. So he's definitely starting the season off in a good way. Yeah. He's building that point lead up now, which is now up to 9 points. He leads the championship over Canet, who finished 3rd. But Vietti just looks like the man to beat at the moment. It all could change. There's a long way to go. But
he did get beat.
Yeah, but in the championship,
it
looks like he may be the man to beat at the moment. But anything could happen in the rest of the season. Just takes one mistake.
Well, yeah, that is true. So don't make that mistake, Vietti, because Luke's got, it sounds like he's got high hopes for you. Dawn, your thoughts on second place in Moto 2, Vietti, and what are your thoughts on him generally? How did he do in the race?
Yeah, I thought he did really good. Like I say, I think he's a bit of a dark horse. We weren't perhaps expecting this good a start from him, but yeah, he could be one for the championship, definitely.
Okay.
He's going about it in a very nice, mature way for such a young rider as well.
I noticed, looking at the results from race 1 and race 2, Jack, that a lot of people finished in the positions, or roughly very similar sort of positions to where they finished round 1 at the first race, albeit not Chandra, but like Vietti, Canet, Lowe's, it was I mean, if you were just going off rider results, you'd say this might have been a very similar sort of race, but yeah, I don't know. What did you make of it, Moto 2?
Yeah, it was a very Moto 2-ish race, really. You got one who broke out the front, and you got Canet and Vietti, who seem to be the most consistent in terms of race pace at the moment. Canet just seems to be lacking that little extra thing to beat Vietti, but I think he will eventually do it. Sam is still injured, so to get 4th was a really good result. You got Acosta, who was unfortunate to get along that penalty after crashing in free practice when Canet was down. But the way he did the long, that was really good. But we're still waiting to see Pedro set the world on fire, but I think that will happen when they get to Europe. And you got Jake, who it should have been a podium, but it's just how it is sometimes.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Before the race, I think he said that I'm paraphrasing, so apologies if I didn't get this quote exactly right, but he said something along the lines of, to BT Sport, that he's sick of people writing him off. Well, he wrote himself off in the race, ultimately. It seems a bit of a shame. I wasn't going to mention it. I mean, Dawn brought it up. But DNF for Jake Dixon.
He was, the other thing is Dixon, I think I messaged you at the time, Lester, saying that he's just jinxed himself because he said, my one lap pace isn't normally very strong, so to get pole it's good, and my race pace is normally my forte, so the race, so at that moment it was like, that's it. Yeah,
you jinxed him. Or he jinxed himself.
He jinxed himself. I didn't put those words in his mouth.
That's the thing. If you start, if you start talking and giving it something to the press before the race, then you got to back it up.
He claimed he did everything identical, so it could have been, I think the rain had just started falling at that point, so he may have been caught out. I don't know if it was a curb. I can't really...
It was the place, because that corner where he crashed, that's where it's closest to the ocean. So I think that's where the rain started. So I think he probably just got caught up by some raindrops or something and just caught him out.
Yeah, it was a shame, but oh well. Really.
Yeah, a shame considering he got. He was looking really good, pole position, and hey ho.
Still fun.
Yeah. Another week.
He'll get there.
Another race. Talking about what could have been. Basically, a bit tired of it now. But he wasn't the only DNF. To be fair on him, though. I mean, the American Sean Dillon Kelly, he also DNF'd. Kubo and Simone Corsi also failed to finish the race as well. Sam Lowes, the other Brit, as someone said, he's still injured. Technically, he's less injured than he was when he did get a podium. But he's still putting a good performance anyway. Finished just under 8 seconds behind the winner, Chantra. In fourth place, Luke Lowes. How long are we going to still keep excusing him with that injury, considering he's already had like a podium?
Well, there was talk after Qatar that he may need to have an operation on his wrist. So clearly at the time it was very serious, but I think Sam now wants to put that behind him. He wants to so it seems like his recovery may be going well. It may be feeling better in his wrist, but he wants to put it behind him. He wants to just carry on with the season after a strong start, and that's the sort of Sam Lowes that you really want to see, the consistent Sam Lowes, not the Sam Lowes that will push and think, I can get a podium here, and then just bin it. He needs to be the consistent rider that we saw in 2020, which challenged for the World Championship and potentially would have won it if he hadn't have crashed in Valencia.
The British characteristic. Dawn, Sam Lowes, is Luke right when he says maybe a fourth place is better than crashing, basically? Is it a good result, I suppose, for Sam?
Yeah.
At the weekend?
It was a good result. Yeah, I thought it was a good result. And like Luke said, he does seem to be sensible and thinking I'll just get fourth and get the points for that rather than pushing a little bit extra and the risk of crashing and injuring himself even more.
Exactly. In his mind, maybe I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth or anything. But Jack, finishing fourth isn't obviously as good as finishing third. Are we getting into a habit now, potentially, of always sort of saying, well, he's injured now, is Sam? And just to sort of, whenever he doesn't finish on a podium, that asterisk comes up of, well, he's still got his hand and stuff. He's, are we making excuses? Or, I don't know. What did you make of his performance?
I mean, we've kind of forgot that the only reason he got the podium was because Agora lost the front and put Augusto wide, and that let him get the podium. So he shouldn't have really got a podium, but...
Well, he was in that pack. He was in the chasing pack.
He was in the pack, but he wouldn't have wouldn't have got there. But I think it will depend. It just depends how the injury goes on. Because at Austin, I don't expect him to be there if his wrist is still bad, with all the change of direction and the characteristics of that track. But we just have to wait and see how the injury develops. I mean, he might have to stop playing golf if it gets that bad. But we'll see.
He's been playing golf? Oh my God. Or maybe it's just a slow healer. Maybe. I don't know. I've never had an injury like that, so I don't know. But I'm going to say it was a good result for him, because he finished fourth and he did all right, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That's my verdict for whatever it's worth. So yeah, other standout things. People keep talking about Pedro Acosta as if he's like Jesus or something, but I mean,
yes,
he finished ninth. I mean, yeah, the TV director can have like a permanent camera live on him. He's not going to finish on the podium. You know, the more you keep bigging him up, or maybe he will. I don't know. But he finished ninth. Is that just he's getting used to the conditions, he's getting used to the championship? Are we, what's the verdict on Acosta so far, Dawn?
I think he would have finished higher if it wasn't the long lap penalty. So, and I think he took that really well. So I think we will see better things from him in rounds to come.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he seems like a likable lad. And I think generally speaking, I mean, I haven't seen anything bad or negative written or talked about him. I think he's one of them sorts of people who everyone, I think, just wants to do well, really. Everyone wants to see him do well. Yeah. But he better hurry up.
I'm saying in Europe, that's when we'll start seeing his winning ways and podium. I mean, at the moment, he hasn't had a proper race yet because he's had a long lap and he got forced off the track in the first race. So, I'd like to see a clean go at it.
He's never been to Termas either, has he?
No, so it's not the easiest of starts for him. But
well,
I think once we get to Europe, that's when it'll kick off.
I mean, don't forget as well, the other riders have also been to Europe as well, quite a lot. So I don't know how he'd perform better than all of the other riders for some, but whatever. I mean, we'll see. I'll hold you to that, Jack. But yeah, Pedro Acosta finished ninth. Any other standout riders that we need to mention just before we get into Luke's top? Yeah. Finished seventh. What did you make of Firmin? How are we pronouncing that name? Firmin? It sounds like I'm saying vermin.
Sounds right.
Is it? I don't know. Jack, your thoughts on? I mean, what did you make of his race?
Very good. He's 16. He's on the speed up, so he's not on the best bye, and he got seventh in quite tricky conditions. So he's doing well.
Yeah. Does that match with? I mean, is that someone you had your eye on coming into the season?
Yeah, because he dominated the CEV Moto 2 Championship last season, and a lot of hype about him, even though he'd done 8 races last season in sort of weird circumstances around that. But he's doing well at the moment.
Seems to be, yeah. 7th place. Do we have any other opinions on Aldeguer? Are we? I don't know. Do we?
Good potential. That's all I can say, really.
Very polite. Yeah, one to watch. Good potential. I also know nothing about him either, so good potential. No, the first. What was it? The first one we did, the preview, and we were going through all the riders in Moto 2, Moto 3, and we're like, oh, what the hell is this? I don't even know that. Moving on. But yeah. Who else is worthy of a quick mention? Oh yeah, the Americans, the much talked about, often hyped up Americans in Moto 2. There's Cameron Beaubier, finished 12th for American Racing, and Sean Dillon Kelly, who we mentioned, DNF'd as well. But Joe Roberts, 11th. Luke, Joe Roberts. Would we have been expecting more from Joe Roberts?
I can never tell with Joe is one thing that I have to start this with, because I'm not, at this point, I think he's, at the rate he's going to miss the MotoGP grid for next year. But there is talent in Joe. We've seen it before, but he's only had one podium, but there is definitely something there, but it's not working out with Italtrans, and it's been a difficult start to the season, something that I almost wasn't expecting from Joe. I sort of thought he'd be battling for 6th, 7th, 5th at this point now in his career. This is what, his 3rd, 4th season in Moto2 now. I was expecting higher.
Yeah, one of those names really that is often sort of catches the eye as you're going through a results sheet. Dawn, your thoughts on Joe Roberts? He finished 11th in the race at the weekend. Does that match with roughly where you expected him to, or?
No, I thought he'd be slightly higher, like Luke said. Yeah, disappointing for me. And like you say, he does need to do more to get noticed for a MotoGP job, definitely.
So is he underperforming at the moment, or is it maybe the team or the package of everything?
It could be the whole thing, but yeah.
Okay.
They won the championship in 2020, Italtrans with Bastianini. Yeah. So they're not an awful team, is basically what I'm trying to say there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, potential, yes, with the team and with him. Jack, for you, Joe Roberts, would you say it was a bit of a hit or miss weekend for him?
I've no idea, because we've all, as Luke said, we all know the talent of Joe. He can get pole position, he can fight for wins and podiums. Just at some point last season, he lost something with the bike where he went from battling for podiums and front rows, all of a sudden he was struggling to even get in the points. So he's starting to creep back up. So it's probably just taking him time, but I'm hoping that at some point we'll start seeing him back at the front again. But I don't know whether it's just the way the Italian team works or what. Something's not 100% gelled between the two parties, but I'm hoping that eventually they'll get a podium or something to spark that thing in Joe to do something.
Well, his teammate Dalla Porta finished 20th in that race. Don't know if he had any issues or anything, but his issue was that he was down in 20th, I suppose. But yeah, another young lad who I think gets quite a few mentions on BT Sport in the commentary, Zonta van der Gorberg. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his name, but he, for the result that he got, again, I wasn't paying attention to exactly what happened to him in the race. I don't know if did anything happen, or was he just, he finished 23rd.
It's more his age and lack of experience, I think, is why he gets rated so highly.
Fair enough.
And his dad's Jürgen.
Yeah, and his dad's Jürgen van der Gorberg.
Yeah. I just like saying Zonta.
And Barry Boltus, he was actually looking good as well, because he got into Q2 and then he crashed and hurt himself, so he couldn't race.
Yeah, I was going to ask what happened to our Barry.
It was very unfortunate, because he was looking quite good and he could have potentially got a points finish, but he got injured, so...
Right, okay. Well, to be honest, there was, with the time and everything, and he was just one of the people who had, I didn't even realise wasn't even racing, to be honest. But, anyway, shame for him. He'll be back, I'm sure. So, yeah, shall we find out? Sure, Chandra won Moto 2, but did he win the heart and mind of our official adjudicator, Luke Newman, with his top 10 rider ratings in Moto 2 of the Grand Prix of Indonesia. Luke, who did you choose? What were their ratings and why?
So, obviously, I only do who finished in the top 10. So, 10th place on my list as well, and in the race, was Albert Arenas. I gave him a 6 out of 10. I thought we could see more from Arenas. He qualified 6th and dropped back in the race, but I was expecting maybe this was the breakthrough weekend for Arenas in Moto 2, but it was a good result nonetheless for Arenas with the Gas team. Obviously, Jake Dixon's teammate, so outperformed his teammate in the race, so can't complain really on that front. But the top 10's a good result for Arenas. I gave Acosta a 7 out of 10. Completely forgot about his long lap penalty, but I don't know if that would have God, it was so early. I don't know if that would have increased my thoughts on him or not. Qualified 10th, finished 9th. Solid result, really. A decent rookie weekend at a track that no one had been to, so he was almost on a level playing field in Moto 2. Albolino, I gave him a 7.5 out of 10. 8th place in the race, started 8th. It was a decent weekend. Potentially would have liked to see more after his Qatar result because he did well there, but I think it was a fair enough result at Mandalika for him. I gave Aldeguer an 8 out of 10. Very impressed with young Fermin Aldeguer. Didn't really put a foot wrong all weekend. Started 12th. Finished 7th on a speed up as well. Hopefully he can keep this going and keep an eye on Aldeguer in the future, especially if he can at some point get on a Calyx chassis. I also gave Auguste Fernandez an 8 out of 10. He finished 5th, but I was disappointed with Fernandez this weekend. Started 2nd, dropped back to 5th. Part of the Akiayo team, which I thought he didn't really start very well either. I thought he could have pushed on in the race as well, but he just hasn't seemed to fully click yet. His results have been decent, but they've not been Fernandez and Gardner level in that team, which are massive boots to fill. But that is, and he's not up there with Vietti in the championship, and Augusto was a championship favourite at the start of the year for a lot of people. So podium needs to start coming for Fernandez.
Okay.
Agura, I gave an 8.5. Very impressed with Agura. Qualified way down the field. Didn't even get out of Q1. And then he came up and finished in 6th place overall. So Agura, 8.5. I like Agura. Next up, I gave Sam Lowes a 9 out of 10. What a solid weekend. Yeah, solid weekend again for Sam. Qualified well. Qualified in 3rd, finished 4th. Still struggling with his injury. So, good on Sam, 9 out of 10. Vietti and Canet, I like giving them the same scores. I've both given them 9.5s. Again, both impressed me this weekend. Both very good. Vietti, especially since he was at the start of the season, a lot of people sort of thought it's his 2nd season in the class. He'll spend another half a season learning and working on his Moto 2 racecraft, but he come out of the blocks, all systems go. He has not been slow at all. So, and Canet as well, same for him. Switched over to a Calyx and he's showing what he can do in this class. Finally, Chantra, giving him a 10 out of 10. Brilliant. It was predictable, really, but really impressed by Chantra. One of the results that I didn't expect at the start of the weekend. I'd love to have seen what the odds were for a Chantra podium, let alone a win at the start of the weekend.
Okay. The official ratings of the Moto 2 of Indonesia in 2022 you've heard it here first. And coincidentally, they almost match the actual results. So, Dawn, your thoughts on those top 10 rider ratings? Would you have done anything differently? Who would you have chose?
I think I would have pushed Vietti to a 10.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the only thing I would have changed.
Okay. How come?
Yeah. I just think he's just doing so strong and nobody really expected this much of him. And he was pushing, so yeah, I'd have given him a 10.
And who do you think maybe Luke overscored?
Perhaps Sam just slightly.
Oh.
I might have just knocked into a 7.5.
Oh, wow. Brutal. So sorry,
Yeah,
Sam.
been a bit harsh now. Yeah, sorry, Sam, if you
Jack, your take on Luke's top 10 rider ratings?
I really want to change the cost to push him up to a 0.5 due to his long lap penalty and getting through from about 16. But a fun fact about the Red Bull IO team is the fact that last season there was only one round where either the Moto 2 or 3 team didn't win a race. This season, it's already gone 2 rounds without winning, so they're already worse than last season. So it's not looking perfect for them at the moment. Hopefully they can get back to where they were last season, dominating Moto 2 and 3, even though Moto 3 looks a bit more difficult this season.
Well, there you have it. Luke's official rider ratings, and we will add all of these up at the throughout the season and give you a running championship, an alternative championship, if you will, of Luke Newman's rider ratings, which were made up, literally made up, on Sunday morning, I'm guessing, at a time when Luke may or may not have been feeling somewhat emotional about a particular rider, and perhaps give him an extra point or something. I'm casting various aspersions. I'm sure you rigorously went through all these and scored them diligently based on their merits and stuff. And of course. Right. Anyway, but yeah, let us know if you disagree with anything like that. Would you, like Dawn, have bumped a particular rider up or down? Did maybe Sam Lowe's? Yeah, well, let us know your thoughts on Sam Lowe's. Interesting one. But anyway, that leads us nicely, I think, into Moto 3. Yes, we've not even spoke about Moto 3 yet. So let's do that. Moto 3. And Luke, it was a domination, apparently, a 2.6 second lead at the end of the race. A total domination for Foggia, who won the race from Guevara and Carlos Tatay. Bye-bye. Yeah. So 2 Spaniards and an Italian on the podium in Moto 3. And yeah, typical Moto 3.
In a way, but it's sort of where we expected Foggia at the start of the season to win races. In Qatar, he just didn't look right. He got his penalties on the Saturday in qualifying. That hindered him, obviously, but this is the Foggia that we all expected at the start of the season. 2.6 second lead at the end of the race. I mean, it was another incredible race from the championship favourite, you've got to say.
Championship favourite, Dawn. Luke's already chalking him up as that. Overall, though, what did you think of Moto 3 when you were watching it? At what time was it on? At like 7, 6?
Like 3.
In the
4.
I have to confess, I did watch it a little bit later on.
Okay.
I'd recorded.
Well,
it was really enjoyable.
Yeah. What was the any sort of like standout moments for you from what you remember?
Please for Scott Ogden, that was really good.
Oh yes, he got 3 points, finishing 13th.
3 championship points. Yeah, that's big for him. Now he can keep pushing on that. Yeah, and Paul Migno got knocked off that was a shame, because he seemed to be riding with quite respectful with other riders, and some of the commentators were saying that he should have been a bit more forceful. So we might see perhaps a different rider turning up at the next round for him.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's
okay.
a shame. Yeah.
Jack, Moto 3 for you. What was your opinion on it?
Well, I mean, Podger just wiped the floor with everyone, and then you got the Gassies, who seem to be the second best outfit, finishing second and fourth. And it just seems like Moto 3 is a little bit different this year in the fact that you feel like there's like a main four, and then you got the rest of them. But usually it's like every race will be eventually get to the same four, but it just takes to the last couple of laps. But something's a little bit different this season. It's just the gap in the field is just somewhat different. It seems like the KTMs overall are stronger than the Hondas. Apart from Mino and Foggia, every single Honda is not to be seen inside the top 10, apart from maybe Suzuki. But yeah, just Foggia just wiped the floor with all of them. And, I mean, it could be similar in Argentina, and have to wait and see.
It is, I suppose, a similar sort of style track, isn't it? Versus the, but Moto 3 in general, then, let's go and have a look at, first of all, what about, I'm just having who should we talk about first, Luke?
Well, I mean, we've talked about Foggia, Guevara. Again, he had another solid result for himself. Championship contender, definitely pre-season. He was hyped up as well with Foggia. Tatai was a surprise podium. I mean, a CF moto bike on the podium, a KTM, but that's what they're branded as. So I think I might have got this wrong at the time since it was very early, but I'm sure that he chose a different front tyre or rear tyre to everyone else. He chose the hard tyre compared to the others. So later on in the race, he came through and had more stability than the others.
Interesting. Okay. I don't have tyre data available to see, so I will trust you on that, Luke.
Don't.
What about Dennis Onchu, though? Finished in 5th place in the race. Is that good? Or?
That is good for Dennis. Again, I've said it a few times on the show. He is a hot-headed rider. He is probably one of the riders who was having a bit of a melee with Mino, which shows their difference in how long they've been in the class. Mino more respectful. Dennis not so much in the past, but he's still keeping himself a clean slate at the moment. He's not messed up yet, so it's been a good start to the year for Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis Onchu, one of the most often talked about riders, Dawn. Did he stand out for you in that race? He finished in 5th place.
I thought that was a good result for him. And like Luke said, he is keeping his head down at the moment, which he's got to do. He's got to keep it under control, and he is doing it. So,
yeah,
like to see him on the podium soon as well.
On the podium, is that possible, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, he got a podium last season. He had podium pace throughout most of last season, and he's been very close to the podium in both races so far. So why not? I mean, even a win, because I'm sure when it comes to turn after last turn or second to last turn is something where you can see Onchu just dive bombing whoever it is he has to dive bomb to win the race. So
taking them,
why not? Hope it doesn't do any in Ernie.
I was having a quick look. He had a bit of an anonymous. I'm thinking of what was the other one? I forgot his name. Mine's gone blank. Anyway,
Bonatti.
In Moto 2. Yeah, he had an anonymous bit of a race, didn't he, in Moto 2? Something I was going to mention earlier, but I forgot. Anyway, sticking with Moto 3 though. What about Masia? Finished in 7th place in the race. Yeah, and he was in that pack with Artigas, Bertolini and Holgado and Satsuma Suzuki.
Yeah, sort of not the start of the year you'd expect from Masia, who is also in the Akiayo Red Bull KTM team, but he does. It was better than Qatar, put out straight away. Started 11th, so he did make up ground nicely in the race, but again, it's still, for a rider of his caliber, you'd expect him to be fighting for podiums.
Okay. What do we think of Masia, Dawn?
I agree.
Did he underperform?
Yeah, I think he did slightly. Like you say, he should be fighting for podiums now. He just seems to lack a little something.
Yeah. As Jack says, I think there's definitely Moto 3 seems a little bit sort of different this season in that there's smaller breakaway packs and everyone's in there, whereas before you had like one whole like pack of
10. Could have like one, couldn't they?
Yeah, literally. Now you've got maybe like a traditional race, like almost like a normal race where you got like maybe a front pack and a middle pack and then like everyone else basically. But Jack, your thoughts on Masia?
I still think it's in his head really, because he can win races, he can get podiums. I think it's just still himself he needs to find. And I mean, I'm pretty sure once he can get winning, he can start putting a title challenge together, but it's just not happening at the moment.
Not at the moment. Moving further down the order, outside the top 10, and there was, as has been already mentioned, Scott Ogden in only his second race in Moto 3. He got 3 points, finishing in 13th place, and he was racing along with he was just I think with Kaito Toba and Yamanaka as well. He was he could have even been 11th really, I suppose, but 13th. I suppose that'll be a good result. Really, only his second race, Luke.
Yeah. Really, a very good weekend altogether for Scott. The only thing that went wrong was qualifying, where he went down at turn 2 and couldn't start a lap in time. But fair play to the Vision Track team. As soon as that bike got in, they worked extremely hard to get him back out there. And I think he missed it by 3 seconds or something. He missed getting another flying lap in, but. He seems happy with how he did. Just wants to get up further up so he can be on TV more. Is what Scott said. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's he certainly getting our attention and BT Sport as well. Did I just compare ourselves to BT Sport? Maybe.
Yeah, we're on the same level as them.
Obviously. Dawn, obviously a good result and one that we were hoping for. It was delivered as well. It was Scott Ogden on this occasion, 13th place in the race. Your thoughts?
Yeah, he did really well. And the thing about Scott, when he is being interviewed, he comes across so confident. And if he can keep that up and keep pushing that through his races, I think he'll go far. He's got definitely the mentality that he needs.
Yeah, is he? Perhaps if there is some sort of, let's say, a traditional lead rider type figure in that team. I know it's still a new team. Everyone's still finding their feet right now.
Yeah.
But would Scott seems to be emerging as like the rider who's got the early lead over Josh at least.
Yeah, and I think that was to be expected as well because he won a race last year. In the championship he was in, so yeah, I think he is slightly. I think Josh is still learning a bit yet.
Yeah, and talking about Josh, not to discount him, he did a race. He finished his second race, and he was in P20. I don't know if he was suffering with any issues particular. I don't know. I've not read any quotes from him, so I literally don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's all to make up for his for Josh. We're expecting, aren't we, Jack? Surely that he'll join Scott in the points in no time.
Yeah, I mean, from his social media, you can tell he's a bit frustrated how he's not able to be in the same places as Scott. But I think he's got less experience than Scott, so it's to be expected. But hopefully he can figure out the Honda. And I'm trying to think if he said anything about the bike, but I don't think there was anything. But I think it's just waiting to see if he can unlock the potential on the Honda, because he's been riding a KTM for years, so that's all he's known. So hopefully he can sort of get into the points and start getting in with Scott, and those two can start joining McPhee inside the top 10 when McPhee returns.
Yeah, and that's one person who we'd not mentioned because he wasn't even racing. McPhee did himself a mischief in the week previous. Something to do, was it a motocross incident or something? What was it?
Supermoto.
Moto.
Yeah, some sort of accident, something. And get well soon. Do we know if he's definitely back for the next race?
He wants to be, but I think Michael Lavsey was saying he might be pushing it a bit there. Probably better off looking at Europe for when he'll be back.
Okay, fair enough. Is the team going to replace him?
No, I've not seen anything. So fingers crossed. I hope they don't, because I don't want him to get outperformed. Well,
we will wait and see on that one. But yes, overall then, good race from Moto 3. Not one of the all-time classics, maybe, but still a good, solid race. Certainly from a British point of view, because the Vision Track, Michael Laverty headed team, Vision Track Racing, scored their first points, which was fantastic. And we were all wondering when it was going to happen, and it's finally happened after just the second race. So that's fantastic news. And I know Josh, as you said, Jack, is not feeling too great, and he voices that in his interviews at BT Sport. I don't think he should be feeling too downhearted. As I said, after round one, yes, he's probably understandably he's not where he wants to be, where he thinks he should be performing, but finishing a race is still valuable. Because it still shows that you can still perform, and it's ultimately, I mean, it's about a lot more than it's a whole package, isn't it? Ultimately, if you're going to progress in your career, it's not necessarily whether you finished 15th or 20th. It is a little bit, I suppose, but there's a whole load of other things like. Well, how much feedback you can give the team, for example. But Luke, let's go to your rider ratings then. For the Moto 3, who did you pick?
Yeah, let's get through these before I get fined at 5:30.
Oh, yeah.
Holgado, I gave him a 7 out of 10. Thought it was a solid performance from Daniel. Just missed out on Q2, which was impressive for a rookie. I think he's still struggling with a leg injury as well. So as that, he finished 9th in the race. Very impressed by Daniel. Bartolini, I also gave a 7 out of 10. Another rider who actually qualified decently, 13th place, finished 8th. So I was impressed by Bartolini. Artigas, I gave a 7 out of 10. He finished 6th, but he qualified higher. And, I'd say he's as talented or potentially even more talented than Tatai. So I was expecting a little bit more from Artigas, where his teammate was on the podium, but a good weekend from Artigas.
Interesting.
Messier I gave a 7.5, and now I'm wondering why. But
well, yeah, back it up. Why did you?
Because he finished.
Yeah, he finished a race. Oh, bloody. Get in there, Messier. You've done an incredible job. I think it was mainly, started 11th, made his way up to 7th. It's weird to say, but it's a bit of a damage limitation, really, weekend for Messier, but he needs to start bringing in these big results to be a championship contender. Suzuki, I gave a 7.5. Again, another rider who made his way up through the field during the race.
But he only finished 10th.
Yeah, but I don't think he qualified extremely well, which, I was sort of expecting from, he didn't even get out of Q1, qualified behind Holgado. So I was still impressed by Suzuki, though, because something just doesn't seem to be going right yet with him at Leopard. So after his pre-season performance, I've been expecting more. Hopefully he'll get there and match his teammate soon, because he looked like he could have in testing. Onshu, I gave an 8 out of 10. Another solid weekend from Onshu. I've gone from slating him to singing his praise recently, so there's that from Onshu, and hopefully this can continue, because I'm liking the new Onshu. Garcia, I also gave an 8 out of 10. Another solid ride from Garcia, doing what he can, championship contender, keeping himself in there. Good weekend. Tatai, 9 out of 10.
Nice.
This is what we expected from Tatai when he joined MotoGP. Moto3, sorry, MotoGP paddock. But it sort of hasn't arrived until this point. It's a good podium from Tatai. Looks like he may have found a home at the Prustal GP team, so hopefully he can continue to get good results and will make his way potentially to more podiums this season. I'm not going to say race win, because he probably won't if I say that, because I seem to jinx everyone like I did with Spargero. Guevara, gave him a 9.5 out of 10. Solid weekend from Isan. He's doing really well for only his second season in the class. He was under Acosta's shadow last season, and now he's out of that. It's good to see he's doing well. Foggia, 10 out of 10. Brilliant race from Foggia. Brilliant weekend from Foggia. This is what we expected.
10 out of 10. Well, there you go. You heard it here first. The official rider ratings, and if championships were made of rider ratings, questions would be asked. But thank you anyway, Luke, for throwing those together of a Sunday morning, still bleary-eyed, and then realising that maybe you overscored some people, or something like that.
Will be better, because I won't be half asleep.
Fair enough. Dawn, do you what your thoughts on that? You were listening to those top 10. Does that match with how you, in your mind, had people rated?
Yeah, that was very good. I agreed with Luke on all of those.
Well, everyone?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
See ya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Fair enough. Okay. Jack, surely you're going to dive in with some bit of disagreement. What did Luke get wrong?
See ya.
Yeah.
It should have been a 6.5 or a 7. It wasn't a 7.5.
The thing is, I'll agree with him. That's the sad thing.
So we have to accept your first. There can be no changing of the official results, not without an extraordinary meeting of the world governing body of
me in this championship. So
yes. But there you go. That's the official rider ratings, the top 10 from Moto 3, Moto 2 and MotoGP as well. I suspect a short, snappy TikTok vid is on the way with you rating those riders.
Oh, God.
Maybe with some funky music in the background. Or something like that, which leads me on to promoting our nice TikTok account. It's Motorsport Radio, if you're wondering. Yay. Good. And also Motorsport Radio on Instagram as well, and all the other social thing. I think we just accidentally started a Discord channel, something or other, whatever the kids are doing nowadays. Damn kids. How do you get on with your esports thing, Jack?
It was probably the most perfect esport challenge I've ever had. Just from Thursday, I got on the McDowan's NSR 500 from 1994 around Donington.
Quickest,
in the gel on the bike, and I won.
Yeah,
I led from the start to finish.
I did see it pops up on my timeline. Well done with that. So what does that mean for you, and what's next? Well,
at the moment, the leaderboards are a bit wrong because they haven't been updated because there's a weird glitch with the website. But from what I can work out, I will be third place in the standings, and if I can probably finish around the top 3 in the next challenge, I'd be automatically qualified with 1 round to go. So I'm looking very good for esport qualification for this year.
Boom! And what is the next challenge?
It's unknown. They like to leave it until the day before,
right.
So it's just guesswork.
Interesting.
But
okay.
But one of them is going to be, well, I imagine it's going to be wet. So usually this is the challenge where it's wet. So I'm getting ready for to use my British experience of wet weather to good effect.
Well, it could if it's at Silverstone, then
yeah.
I don't know which particular. I mean, you don't want to give your rivals any sort of competitive advantage, but which particular circuit, if they, whatever they choose, would you be not displeased with? Is what I'm trying to say. Which one are you hoping that it'll be?
I'm thinking they're going to follow the calendar, so I think it's going to be Terma. But I'll be happy with any track apart from the Red Bull Ring, because for some reason that track I do not gel with.
Well,
some odd reason.
There you go. So just hope it's not the Red Bull Ring. Sorry if we've just jinxed it for you. But congratulations, Jack. And good luck. And do keep us up to date as well. And thank you for coming on the Superbike Show once again here on Motorsport Radio. Same as well, Dawn. Thank you very much for your presence and your opinions. And tell us as well what's coming up on your website as you're doing lots more writing and articles and stuff. What can we expect from you and all your output?
Yeah, for Short Shift News, obviously I'll be covering the BSB test at Snetterton. So I've got a busy 3 days there, and with the Mortimer Racing Victoria House Academy, I do their social media and PR work for them. They've got 2 riders in the British Honda Talent Cup. So excited to see what they can do this weekend. And that's it for this weekend, I think. Yeah,
and we will not do a show next week because of logistics. We're looking ahead to the first round of the Fab Racing Mini Bikes British Championship, which is going to take place at Lydd over 2 days. There's going to be a total of 30 races, all live, all streamed here on Motorsport Radio. And it is still the Road to MotoGP feeder series as well. And it continues to produce lots of talented racers and riders, as well as media talent as well. Because one of last year's commentators and former host of this here show, Tristan Finocchiaro, had been promoted. He'd been plucked into stardom, and he's now working in MotoGP, or for MotoGP in Spain. It's all right for some, isn't it? I suppose.
Well done.
Yeah, and he follows in the footsteps of Liam Hodgins, who was tuning into the show, probably bored. Who was another former host of the show, who followed in the footsteps of Kiko Giles, another former host of the show. I could go on, but anyway. So yeah, Fab Racing back again. Not this weekend, but the following weekend, and it's the first week of April, I think it is. Yes, that weekend, basically. So we'll be splashing it all over social media, live coverage, right here on Motorsport Radio, and I'll be directing all of it and pressing the buttons and switching the cameras. I'll be doing my own TV directing, so I can be my own, TV director. So if there's any dodgy cuts and stuff, you'd be like, TV director, I don't know what the hell he's doing. That's me. Anyway, thank you for coming on the show. And Luke, you're about to get kicked out of your university studio, so we'll let you go and get swept away and safe journey on your way home as well. Yeah. And thank you very much for tuning in. It's been the Superbike Show. Downloaders, like, share, subscribe, all that sort of stuff that all the kids do. And we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I don't know. Bye.
Motorsport Radio.